Hey parents, how's it going? And welcome back to yet another episode of Real Daddy Talking. In today's video, I want to share with you something that could potentially be life-changing for you. And the topic that we want to discuss today is how to praise our children to build up their self-esteem and confidence. Alright, so the first question you might be asking is that why are we even talking about praising? Isn't it straightforward, like saying, good job, well done, I'm so proud of you? There's more to meet the eye, because if you praise incorrectly, it could actually backfire. And let me explain more in this video. Okay, so first let's explore self-esteem and confidence in children, because I believe all parents want their children to grow up healthy, to have a healthy balance of self-esteem and confidence, right? So we know that self-esteem and confidence in children is greatly influenced by us, the parents, during their initial years, through the way we communicate with them, the way we manage expectations of them, all right? And we know that praising is a form of communication. So, for example, if we negatively label our child, like, why so stupid? How come your brother can do this but you cannot? You good for nothing, ah. When we give this kind of negative label, it actually, gets into the child and it will affect them in their future years. So we always have to be very mindful of what we say. So does that mean that, we start to give them very good words like, oh, you are so awesome, you are so smart, you are so talented, you're going to be Elon Musk when you grow up, Of course not. We don't swing to either extreme, okay? So firstly, I want to talk to you about what self-esteem is all about and what is the textbook definition of it. And then I'm going to give you some examples later of how we should actually praise our child, okay? So self-esteem is your overall opinion of yourself, how you feel about your own abilities and shortcomings. And when a person have a healthy self-esteem, you feel good about yourself and you see yourself as deserving of respect from others, okay? You see failures as stepping stones and you aren't easily affected by the opinions of others, okay? So that's a healthy self-esteem. Conversely, when you have low self-esteem, you put little value on your own opinions and your ideas. You tend to think that, you don't deserve good things. And if good things do happen, it's just because I'm lucky. You tend to put down yourself and you're always mindful about the opinions of people. You do something, you be like, oh, what if they criticize me? Or what if they think about me that way? And you end up not doing anything. So when you have low self-esteem, that also affects the person's ability to cope with the environment and people as well. All right, so as parents, what we hope to achieve is a balance of healthy self-esteem, okay? Because we don't want to swing to either extreme. If a child has too high, over the roof kind of self-esteem, he may seem as arrogant and he may be oblivious to feedback as well. So we don't want that. We want a healthy balance of that. Okay, so I want to give you some facts from webmd.com. So webmd.com, I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. This is a medical website, so it is a reputable site. And it tells us that countries with the lowest self-esteem include countries like Hong Kong, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and Bangladesh. Wow. And you know what? Singapore is not far away from all these countries, okay? And countries with the highest self-esteem include US, Peru, Israel, Austria, Chile, and Turkey. All right, so I'm starting to wonder, like, are the West doing something different? Why are the Asian countries inside the lowest rank with the lowest self-esteem? And I suspect two reasons why Asian societies are at the bottom. All right, so firstly, Asian societies aren't very generous or expressive with praises. So I'm going to give you an example, like, a child comes home with his report card and, he scores 95 upon 100, and he proudly presents his report card to his dad. And his Asian father, looked at the report card and stared at the son and said, how come only 95? How come only 95? Where did the 5 marks go? And the child did well, but the feedback that's coming back from the dad is actually negative. However, from the dad's perspective, the dad is secretly proud of his son. And the way he asked for, where did the 5 marks go, is because he didn't want the son to just be content with 95. He didn't want the son to be complacent. But the way that he expressed is actually negative. And the son, having lots of expectations that his dad would say that, hey, I'm so proud of you, end up receiving something that's negative. So you can see how that backfires, all right? So the second reason is because Asian parents, they tend to focus on the results instead of the process that brought to the result, and it eventually implodes. So let me give you an example again. So let's assume a student, he did not study for his exam, and he decides to cheat and get a good grade. So now the child presents his report card to the parents, and the parents are like, wow, this is awesome. Good job, well done. And the student starts to think, hey, all I need to do is to just present a report card back that would make my parents happy. And the student is likely to repeat the cheating until it eventually implodes. All right, so you notice that if we are too focused on the end result instead of the process, it's going to have some bad, it's going to result in some bad things as well. All right, so I'm going to share with you this technique that I've learned from Robin Booth, how to praise a child correctly and effectively. All right, so there are 3 parts over here. So the first part is that we describe what we see and observe. Okay, and the second part is that we describe our favorite part. And the last part, which is the third part, is to give a positive label. All right, so again, let me repeat the 3 steps, and then I'll give you examples to seal this understanding. Firstly, we describe what we see, what we observe. Okay, part 1. Part 2 is we describe our favorite part of that process, and then we give a positive label. Okay, so let me give you an example. So you see over here, I have all this artwork that is being produced by my child. So every time I pick him up from school, most of the time he will show me some of his artwork over here. He'll be like, hey, daddy, I did something over here. Okay, he doesn't call me daddy. He says, Papa, I did something over here. Check it out. So I will usually just look at it. I'll be like, wow, this is quite nice, very interesting. Good job, well done. Let's take our bags and let's get to the car. I usually just quickly glance through and just move on to the next activity. So this is actually not good, or rather it can be optimized. Again, so using the 3 steps that I've just illustrated earlier, firstly, I should describe what I see. Okay, so I'll be like, wow, Caleb, I'm looking at your painting right now. I see that there are many colors like yellow, orange, green, and red, and it all has a very symmetrical shape. All right, so I'm describing what I see. So this is very objective, okay? And then the second part is to describe the favorite part. So I say, hey, Caleb, I like this part over here in the middle where all the colors come together and it forms a very interesting shade of color. All right, so this is the second part. And then the third part is the positive labeling. So I'll say that, hey, I see that this is also symmetrical. Okay, I don't suppose you understand what that means, but I'll say that, wow, this is very well drawn. To me, it tells me that you put a lot of effort into making sure that this circle is drawn correctly. It tells me that you are a very careful person. So look what I just did there. I just told him that he was a careful person based on my observation of him. All right, so let me explain to you why these 3 parts are so important as compared to saying, hey, good job, well done, very nice. Okay, firstly, it's because when we describe what we see, what we observe, we are actually paying attention to him. We're telling him that, hey, I'm paying attention to what you have done. I'm giving you credit for the process that you have taken meticulously to get this piece of drawing done. All right, and the child knows that you are listening. You're not just passing a quick statement or a remark. And then when you describe their favorite part, oh, I like this part over here because the colors come together and it forms a very interesting shade. It tells the child that you appreciate some parts of his work, which makes him special. All right, and the last part is when you give that positive labeling. Oh, I think that you are a very careful person. So what happens over there when he receives that praise is that you're actually inputting careful as a trait into his self-identity. All right, so that he walks away saying that, wow, daddy is looking at my painting right now. I'm so happy that he likes it, and he describes to me the process of painting this. I have to, use different colors. I have to paint it in certain shapes and things like that. All right, so this is again much better than saying good job, well done. Let's move on. Okay, I'm going to give you the second example. And again, this is the example of the student who comes back home with that 95 marks report card. All right. So rather than saying that, hey, rather than we complimenting the end result, oh, 95, very good, distinction, let's go for ice cream. We don't do that. All right. So again, let's follow the 3 steps. We describe what we see. Wow, I see that you have gotten 95 marks for your exam. That is a very impressive score. Okay, then now we describe what we see. Let's assume that the student is called Alex. Alex, I noticed that every time you come back from school, you would take a half an hour break, shower, and you start working on your homework. And I noticed that you spend a considerable amount of time on your homework, and you ensure that you finish your work before dinner time. All right, so we are describing the process. Okay, now we talk about the favorite part. Alex, I noticed that when you did not understand the question, you did not give up and you persevered and you actually engaged your friends to learn more about the subject. This tells me that you are a resourceful person. See, this is the positive labeling. You are a you are a resourceful person, and it tells me that you are a disciplined person as well. Good job, Alex. Keep it up. Right, guys, so you notice that this is so much more effective than good job, well done, let's go for an ice cream, right? Because now Alex starts to know that my dad is complimenting me for my effort, all right? And chances are Alex is going to continue to demonstrate those efforts, okay? So we know that as long as Alex continues with that process, it's going to result in something beautiful in the end, all right? So rather than just looking at the results, because, you know, Alex could cheat to get that results as well, but now he is more encouraged to repeat that process, which eventually would bring off good results. All right, so the last example I'm going to give to you is at work. So for example, you are a manager and you have subordinates, okay? So let's call the subordinate Alex again. So rather than saying, hey Alex, you did very well, you impressed the stakeholders during the meeting, good job, let's go for an ice cream. You know, the way we can praise would be to use that 3 steps again. So we describe what we see, what we observe. Alex, you did very well, you impressed the stakeholders. I noticed that for the past 3 months, you are the first to come into the office and you would work your ass off till 8 p.m. I noticed that you would be very involved in the meetings and you would give good suggestions during the meeting to help your team leader. I think that is worth praising. All right, Alex, I noticed that Alex, what makes you special is that during the day of the meeting when your team lead was not able to come to the office, you actually stood up for him and you actually led the meeting. To me, that is a symbol of leadership. Alex, good job. All right, guys, so what did we just do there? We described the process that Alex did. All right, Alex now feels that he's being appreciated for the things that he has done, and likely he's going to continue to do that. All right, and we describe the part that we admire about Alex, which is the part where he helped his boss to present the meeting his team lead to present the meeting when his team lead couldn't be available. So that demonstrates leadership as well. And we finally give a positive label. All right, so rather than saying you good for nothing, you stupid, we give a positive label, and that sticks to Alex's identity. All right, so even after the praise, Alex will go home thinking that, hey, do I really have leadership? Am I really responsible? Maybe I am. Tomorrow I'm going to demonstrate more leadership. Tomorrow I'm going to demonstrate more, more being responsible in my work. And that really will boost Alex's self-esteem and confidence. So guys, I'm giving you these examples, hoping that you can practice them as well, because I'm practicing them myself as well. And I hope that by doing that, I'm able to build my child's self-esteem and confidence. And most importantly, we don't judge the results. Of course, results are important. But when the child has the right process, the results would definitely come in a matter of time. So I hope that this video is hopeful for you. It's really heartfelt. And I'll see you in the next one.